dark.
Yeah, turn on over. Oh wait, you gotta turn it this way so you don't get that stuff.
I would do. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. There we go. See, you don't get. What happened? Oh, you look greasy, you think?
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Our first one. We're trying to do live. Wait, try and get in position. So get people. So you, because I know you don't like. So we can pace ourselves. Okay, that was it. Just want to make sure you're in position. Slow mode is on. Send a message every 1 minute, 30 seconds. All right. Are we on? Testing. Yeah, we are on.
We are on.
All
Welcome.
right. Cool. So let's just see. This is more of a technical test than anything, and we shall see what happens. Testing. One.
Hi, I'm grateful to God. Greetings, family.
Hey, what's up? Who is that?
That's Chris.
Wait, that's Crystal.
That's Christine.
Christine. Okay.
Hi, Christine. How are you?
Welcome. And we're
Thanks
getting
for
everybody
joining
on
us.
slowly but surely. First time. And yeah, we're just gonna wait a few. And welcome to the marriage check-in.
Checking in with Pam and Antoine.
Checking in with Pam and Antoine. And so what we're gonna do is this is our groundbreakers, so to speak. We're just trying to see what it is like to do live. And so welcome. Thank you for being here. It's kind of seeing what that is like. If you have some friends you would like to kind of hit up, you can, Christine, and just see. And if they would like to be able to join us. As far as those, and you got you, so that's good enough. So what we're going to be talking about, we were going to be following up with, we're not going to be long, we're going to be following up with the 5 Ps. In other words, that the idea of the weekly check-in with your spouse. We did a devotional for our midweek, in the Bronx ministry about we talked about having a honey badger marriage, the kind of marriage that has the same resolution, courage, thick skin, tenacity, and innovation, resourcefulness of that particular strange animal that God put on the earth. And we were talking about how, just as Joshua was commanded, God's people are commanded to be strong and courageous because of who they trust in. Our part is to be strong and courageous. God's part is just to be God. But part of that, to be courageous, you got to be ready. You got to get yourself ready. And so the idea of a weekly time where you and your spouse really get a chance to talk about your relationship, but not just talk about. That's good. You got to talk about yourself sometime. You got to talk about her, but you got to talk about how is this going? How is this energy here
between the two of us?
And I'll probably end up repeating this up, but remember from last time, we had talked about those P's. I just made P easy to remember. First, starting off with praise, which is
talking about what you like about each other, what went well, what do you want to lift up and acknowledge. Like, for example, this week I was thinking we had like that tough conversation about.
We'll get there.
Yeah. And you responded well, and I wanted to say thank you for responding.
Oh, thank you. So, but yeah, start off with praise. Literally thinking of at least 3 qualities that you appreciate about your husband or your wife. And I mean that, I'm not saying you talk about pat them on the back for what they did. That's good. But I'm talking about their character. What fruit of the spirit do you see in them? Even just them, just encourage their socks off. But you literally take turns just doing that. Man, something I really appreciate about you this week is, man, this week you were really patient with me because I was sick. And you really went above and beyond. I know you were tired, but I really appreciate that. Also this week, I really appreciate, and you just keep going. But you take turns doing it, and that's how you start off, which leads to the next P. Now, this is the fun part. Plan fun things. Fun is a serious business. So this is a time where And look, I don't care how busy you are. I don't care how packed your schedule is as a parent or as a working 50 hours a week. In fact, the busier you are, like
the
the more
the
important this
more
is, right?
important it is to plan.
That just really planning.
Because then you'll just hit and miss with each other and you'll never catch up.
Yes,
So, yeah.
planning fun things like making sure that you go through your schedule. And I suggest having an open, like a calendar open, and you go through your schedule and say, man, what do we want to do this week? We want to go away for Valentine's. Wow, it's 2 weeks. So what can we do? What do you think? Then we could afford that. Like you sit and you plan something, put some things in the calendar. I want to do this. What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. That may be this. But you sit down and you just plan fun things. One of the things I've seen when marriages aren't doing well, when they, that, oh, the spark is gone. Usually it's because, not usually, but sometimes it's because they haven't invested in the time, the fun stuff, what restaurants we want to go to, things like that.
Yep.
And then the third P is, see if you remember.
Practicals.
Oh, you good.
Yeah.
Wow, practical.
That's the one I couldn't remember. I kept saying, there's another P. There's another, it's not Pam. There's another P. And it was the practicals. So that's why I know that
there
one.
You go. Practicals. Practicals is household chores. Who's doing what this week?
Taxes.
Who are you gonna do? When are we gonna do our taxes? When are we doing laundry?
Groceries.
Groceries. Who's gonna drop Shaniqua off at the dance class on Saturday? Nothing wrong with the name Shaniqua. I'm not making fun, but I'm trying to be random here. Who's gonna drop such and such and such and such off at the dance recital? What's another practical? Oh, if you're a disciple, if you're in a fellowship, like, man, okay, what's the worship schedule this week? Okay, you have women's midweek this Wednesday. Okay, so
I gotta do this
like literally those kinds of things, practical things, schedule, chores, household. One encouragement I want to give you. One thing I know about chores, it's not about in household, it's not about 50-50 as much as decisions. There'll be some weeks rather, where one spouse will need to do more for one reason or another, and that's fine. But just as long as you have conversation about it, you get those practicals, which can really, the little foxes sometimes can come right into practicals. And then now this is where it gets intense. Protests and complaints. And that's where you get a chance to talk through, something that I really I feel like we got to talk about is, I don't want to, you've been doing really great, but I just noticed that lately you've been a little, or I've been kind of feeling like it's the time to kind of, what are the things that have been bothering you in the relationship?
Yeah, I know this week when we did our time, I thought about it a little bit earlier and I knew I needed to have a protest, but I wanted to check before I brought it up to you to make sure I said it the right way, because y'all know me and I'll run my mouth and end up in trouble. So I talked it through first with a close friend of mine to make sure that because it was something close to my heart, that I would bring it up in a way that was beneficial, in a way that Antoine would hear it. And it was really cool because as I started describing the situation, he started laughing because he was like, I can see where this is going. And so that was a good one. That was a good one. And his reaction to my protest, I don't know if you want me to share what it was, but
please,
you can.
Oh, all right. Wait, you gonna share it?
Yeah.
No, that's a good. Yeah.
Right.
What the heck? Let's go for it.
So this is what happens. So me and Antoine have this routine. So at night before we go to bed, he will go to the kitchen and he's cleaning the kitchen and he does the dishwasher. I clean the living room, the dining room, and then we each shower and then we clean up the bathroom after each other and we go to bed. So when we go to bed, I'm one of those people that my house needs to be totally together. I can't go to sleep unless my house is set. So we go to bed. And then in the morning, because I'm not going anywhere, Antoine's working, he gets up and he does his routines, go downstairs and start working, and then I get up. So I'm struggling because when I get up,
left the trail.
Antoine has left the trail. I can tell you everything he's done, what he ate, where he read his Bible. His books are all over the kitchen. He's made his smoothie. He's made his coffee. Stuff is everywhere. So I'm struggling because he gets up to a beautiful, clean house, and I wake up to a mess. And so I was like, nah. We got to talk about this. So I wanted to bring it up in a way that didn't make you feel like, you know, bad, not bad, but like condescending against. So he started laughing because he knew exactly where I was going. The minute I said how I wake up, he's like, "Oh yeah, me."
I got it. No,
And
get
you've
it.
been doing better. So we got through that, and I talked to you, and you've been doing better. You've been making an effort to put things away and stuff. So
Yeah, I got it. It's funny. I was reading. Uh, it's funny in Ezekiel. One of the challenges he gave to the what do you call it? Uh, the weak and the strong sheep, how they muddy the waters and trample. In other words, the sheep who get to someplace first, who just get there first, they set the tone for who comes after them. And that convicted me too. So I says, it's true. I wake up to like a pristine environment. Then I realized, oh wow, yeah, she's waking up to a used environment, so to speak. Like it's not what I'm doing, right? Because just by nature, I'm the one who's up first. So I said, okay, now I get that. I get that. So yeah, so
that was our
that
protest.
was an example of protests where right in the middle of that, what are the things that kind of may not have gotten said during the week that we're able to say to each other? It could be a complaint. It could have been a very serious one. It could be a little one. But it is a chance to kind of to do that, right? And then go
And
ahead.
before you go to the last one, as we go on, those of you who are on here with us, thank you for joining. We're looking and thanking you so much. Put in the chat any questions or anything you
Oh
have
yes,
about
yes.
anything we're saying. And even if it's a little bit off the topic, we're going to come back and answer some of the questions in the chat. So just put some stuff in the chat. Talk to us. We want to know what you're thinking and about what we're saying. If it triggers an idea that you're thinking, oh, maybe one of the check-ins can be on this, let us know. And which part of the check-in was the hardest for you? For us this week, I know for me, I had to really work on the protest part, making sure that I got myself together
Yeah,
so my
protests.
conversation was good. And then the last one is
And pray.
and pray.
And pray. We at the very end, you just spend some time praying, like and really, it's really cool. And it's funny, the sermon we heard this week from Maurice for our church was pretty good in that he was talking about like the kinds of prayers that you bring the specifics to God. So when you have this kind of, now you have something to really pray about as you also get a good idea of what your week is going to be like coming up. You kind of know, like, okay, like it's going to be a very busy week, or it's going to be a very fun week, which means, okay, man, we got to get ready and, like whatever, like after that process, which that whole conversation, and it's by design, not to make it necessarily a long, drawn, 7-hour meeting, because you want to keep doing this regularly. So you want to make it not to be, what's that word, purposely curt, but you want to kind of make it a focused time. I would suggest think about an hour. But that'll be it. So this is if you are working, I'm talking about if you're working 50 hours a week, if you got 3 kids, you can carve out an hour's enough of time just to kind of check in with your husband, with your wife. The thing that I've noticed, and we're at a point where we're empty nesters, and this is for the older people among us. One thing I've noticed is that sometimes the more flexible time you have, the harder it is to do this, because you always feel like, well, I'll see you all day. I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'll do it. Like, and next thing you know, 6 months have passed, and you've never talked about anything, that some stuff that may be building up. It just builds. So that's what I saw.
And we actually set a timer because Antoine he had a client. And so I was like, all right, so we got this
Oh yeah.
hour. And that kind of helped us to stay in the confines of the 5 Ps, because I knew we had to be finished in an hour because you had a client. And we actually finished with time to spare. And that's with me having a protest. And during some of the scheduling, Antoine actually made the calls right there. He was like, all right, let me leave a message here. Let me leave a message there as we were going through it. And so it
Yeah.
can be done. It can be done in an hour. It really can. I think it also helped that we
One
have
second. Okay, keep going.
Oh, I think it also helped that we had both written down our praise. Like I had actually thought about what is some of the things that I want to make sure that I say to Antoine so that it was, it was good. And I had written down, and I didn't even know this, but he had his journal and he had written down some stuff all week that he had been thinking about me to share. So that kind of helped with the time too. So
Yeah,
we really stuck to the hour. The hour we were able to do it.
that's one thing I want to encourage too. If you're going to do people, so it's ironically, I think that, and I'm curious. No one's made a comment yet, but one of well, let me show you what I want to. I'm going to share something with you guys. Say, well, why are we doing this? Are we doing this just because we want to become YouTube celebrities or the like? Part of it
Nope.
is we want. She said, "Yep."
Nope.
The,
Nope.
or
I
they
said
said,
nope.
"Nope."
Nope.
They said, "Yep." That's it. No,
Nope.
part of it is look. We wanted to be able to figure out, man, especially the way we are living now. We wanted to be able to just give a resource to people that they can use for their marriages. Put it out there. The more, the better. As a marriage counselor, I do see people who just like supports, and it's not necessarily Will and Jada that's their support, or Steve Harvey, but where we get a chance from our viewpoint, where we can be able to give some encouragement supports as well, just to equip. The thing scripture I was thinking about, if you read the book of Ezekiel, in Ezekiel chapter 33, one of the most wild things was, over 2,003 years ago, Ezekiel challenged the people of his day because they looked at him, as the Bible says, as no more than an entertainer or a person who sings songs. Where they would come before him week after week, day after day, or regularly to hear. And in fact, they would even share their faith. Come hear the word of the Lord in Ezekiel 33. So Ezekiel had a quote following, but the challenge was they just enjoyed listening, and that's it. Today's religious world and today's world of self-help is a lot about just listening. We love, and I'm putting them down anyway. We love the Steve Harveys, and we love these, hearing like the celebrities, and they give advice. But here's the thing: what I want to reach out to is the people who are growing with us. What I would like this time to be, the check-ins, is as you put things into practice, you can be able to share. We can do it digitally with your spouse. What is it that you are learning? What you plan to do? So, for example, this is not a rebuke, but if you've been listening, say, "Oh, that's cute." The 5 Ps. I agree with that. A couple should have a time to check in, and you haven't done it. Be aware that's not what helps you. Um, I've noticed that usually when it comes to marriage, workshops I've done, midweeks we've done, couples we gotten with, we tend to ask the same questions over and over and over, but it's because we don't really put things into practice. What we do is we like asking the questions. Why is this? How do you improve your communication? How do you do? And then when you ask about, well, did you try this? How did it go doing this month? Things get vague. All of a sudden, it gets real vague and very.
I'm glad you said that. Somebody made a comment that they're gonna have their time tonight,
Tonight.
and they like that we wrote down the praises, and that was really really helpful. One of the things that me and Antoine do, and somebody had asked us this, like, what are you trying to do? We have a very good friend of ours helping us with our online presence, right? Because we need help. And so he says to me, "Why are you guys doing this?" And I said, "One of the things that we're trying to do differently, like you said, is we try to give a practical. Sometimes people just talk about their relationship, and you go walk away and you're like, "Tag, okay, so you know a lot more about the person, but you don't necessarily have something you could do." And so we try to give you tools. That's in our mission, right? Is that if you guys trust us and we could talk about some things, we're going to give you some tools that you could then walk away and improve the relationship you have.
Yes.
So put that practical piece is very important. That we're going to talk, right? We're talking for 30 minutes. We're going to be on here talking. And then our videos are 15 minutes. You're going to hear a lot of stuff. But the goal is to say, what one thing I can walk away with and put it into practice and improve the relationship that I have this week? Because we try to think a year from now where I'm going to be. How about, let's just say 7 days from now? In the next 7 days, what's something that I could try? And so we're doing this stuff with you. So every week, we're doing the 5 P's and then trying to share with you what went well with us and what didn't go well with us. And we'd like to hear from you, like what went well, what didn't go well, and then maybe we could talk a little bit more about it and come up with something else to tweak it. But
Yep.
the
Well,
practical part is the thing.
our conviction is marriages need support. And what we want to do is play a small role, but significant role in that kind of support. So, but look, this is definitely not just for us to listen and be fans and say, oh, cool, and send thumbs up. That's good. That's fun. But it's really for you and your husband or you and your wife to be able to go on an adventure of what works for us. Uh, to give you a little background so you can understand is, how do you describe it? One of the most important things related to that idea is to realize we've got to be able to take things and put them, carve them, and make time in our schedules for them in our marriages. A lot of times, again, I hear this phrase a lot. We need to work on our communication, and that phrase becomes kind of like a junk drawer. Like my communication. It's our communication is circling again. Oh, it's our communication, man. We need to marriage retreat. Every marriage retreat. What should we talk about? Every comment, communication, communicate, and it really becomes a junk drawer, and it becomes a word that means nothing if you really think about it, because your wife is thinking one thing, you're thinking another thing. Some expert is thinking another thing. I believe when you say communication, a good thing to a good way of looking at it is this way. We don't communicate to connect. We connect first, and then the communication stuff will come.
Isn't that sort of like in your intimacy? Like a lot of times you're trying to connect, right?
Case in point. Yes.
Right? You want to connect in your intimacy, but I'm thinking we're not going to connect in intimacy if we haven't talked. Like if you come home, you grouchy, you eat dinner, you do this, you do that. And I'm thinking you haven't talked to me the whole time. And now you think we're going to connect. It's not happening, bro. We need to talk first, right? And so that's how it happens with couples too, right? So in order for you to be close, you got to sit and take the time and talk. I'm trying to think with us a time, where did we get this conviction from? Like, how did that end up being something that's so important to us? Like, how did that?
But which part? What do you mean?
Like the communication, like realizing that we have to do something in order to connect.
Well, it's our faith. But look, we're believers in Jesus, and if you get into Jesus, you'll see. I think it started there. Christ taught by calling people to follow and do things, and as you did them with him, you learned, you grow. He would help you talk about it. Well, what did you learn? What did you do? Did I first watch me? I do an old teaching thing that they taught. I remember from the Department of Ed in teaching style, they kind of imitated this idea of I do, we
do, and then you do.
That's how Jesus taught. So that's how we're like reading and living this life, and how we've made changes in our marriage. And then I realized as a counselor, if you look at the whole psychological world, ultimately, that's what they're telling you. They're telling you that information transfer is the worst way to think you'll change anything.
Just sitting
and giving you information.
And somebody just talking to you and
data.
Talking at you.
That does absolutely nothing. You could get that on a piece of paper, on a spreadsheet.
You could have read that.
You could read it and go on about it. We as humans, we grow by living, applying, and stretching ourselves. So for example, if a couple, I'm going to make a big statement, decided to try this, what we challenge already, the 5 Ps, 1 hour a week, and really check in with each other and the like, and I'll talk to you about why that's so good, yada, yada, yada. And they do it for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Whether it goes great or goes bad, if you tried it, you will learn more about your marriage, yourself, and likely you will do something good in your marriage that no book could ever do for you.
And we learned this the hard way. So we've been married 31 years. And for 31 years, we've always had another couple that we get with
Very much so. Yes.
weekly, every other week, to talk about how we're doing and just to be like a good third ear for us. And so we would go, sometimes we would do what they say, sometimes we wouldn't, right? And we never really kept track of it. But we knew we needed to go to the meeting. Once we got there, I know for me, depending on what I heard, I'm either going to try it or not try it. But I didn't have a deep conviction about it. But then we started getting with a friend of ours. And so we got together the first week and it was fine. And they gave us some help. And we went home. We didn't do anything. So we came back the next week and we said the same thing. So the husband says, so I'm going to tell you this right now. He said it straight out. He said, I'll get with y'all every week, but we're not going to talk about the same things. And if you're not going to do what we suggest, then we're not getting together with y'all because it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
He said it straight out.
Well, that's why I got it
So
from.
look,
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
Antoine sat there like, what? Who he think he talking to? But then when we thought about it, we were like, it's true. How many people come to you and you give them help? They ask you, right? Now you only give it if they ask. They ask you and then they walk away and then they don't do nothing you told them to do. And then they come back the next time as if you never said anything to them. Isn't that annoying? So we learned from that. That guy forced us to learn to put things in practice. So we're going to come back and ask a question, but it's not going to be because we didn't try what you told us. Maybe we tried it and it didn't work. Maybe we tried it wrong, or maybe we tried it late.
Or maybe we by doing this, we discovered, man,
right. Or we learned
things
something.
got worse when we did fine, but you're learning something.
But we try. And so a lot of what we do now is asking people, we give you a tool and we say, try it. Just try it. And what did you learn from it? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
Sometimes you do that and say, oh, maybe if we tweak it this way, it'll work for us. That's the goal.
Absolutely. And so look, one of the things that I want to encourage is so we'll hit different topics as we get ready to do these live chats, but we want to be able to hear from you. We want to be able to hear, and I appreciate one person already said, wrote down, Nana said that they're planning to have our time tonight. So thank you for sharing. We'll write down my praise. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about, like, let's see what you learn. Some of you may end up saying something like, well, I tried this and this is what this was a stumbling block. Let's talk about it. We could learn a lot from those stumbling blocks. So whatever, but so we want to throw things out there, but we want this to be more of a, like I said, more of a community. Another reason I think I just want to feel called to be able to share this as we get ready to wrap it down is anything that causes you to pay attention and invest in your marriage. Look, we believe God first, but then one of your first ministries on the planet Earth is to your spouse. And one of the biggest things that's ripped my heart that I've seen now more and more and more is couples that start off cherishing each other as so precious, really not liking each other, despising each other, having like this attitude of I could have done better, and deeply resentful, deeply bitter. And individually, they're great people, but they just look at each other with a disgust. And it's a disgust that is very, now ultimately it's sin, but the emotional dynamic that goes with it is so strong, they can't imagine being together. And it kind of hurts my heart when I realize, man, when we first met each other, you guys were all up into it. You were like wild horses, couldn't hold you back. And then I look back later and now you're like talking the D word. You're talking divorce. You're talking, oh, I'm not happy, living separate lives. And I want to do anything that can shake that up for some of you. Anything that can also keep some from going down that road.
Yeah.
So we'll close as we get ready to wrap things up, even for this time. just an encouragement we want to give is invest, invest, invest in the one that you love. Do something this week that invest in your marriage. For those who choose to do our challenge of trying our check-in, which you can look on the videos that we did before about the 5 P's, put it into practice. I'll give you another one that you can do. Do something like write your spouse a love letter showing you appreciate them, if that's what moves them. Read a great book together, but then have some time to share that book together. But invest in each other. We'll do these. What do you call that? Live. We'll do it. How many times do you think?
We'll do live the last Sunday of every month, but
Okay.
every Sunday we'll post a new video.
We'll post a small video, but we'll
So
do live every last Sunday.
the last Sunday, every Sunday night, we'll post a new video, and then the last Sunday will be live, and that'll be your opportunity to hear from us live, to ask any questions, and even before you sign off today, put something in the chat that you would like us to cover, a topic you like us to cover, even if it's not on the check-in. It's something you thinking, wow, I would love to hear you guys' opinion about this or that. Give us some suggestions. Otherwise, we'll see you next week Sunday.
Next week Sunday video, but we'll see you, God willing, in a month, and we'll do our next live. And until then, enjoy the 5 P's. And thanks.
Thank you for coming.